This is such a great lesson of the long term, the long run.
The work you and I just did stressed our cardiovascular, improved our brain function, made our muscles a little stronger, our bones a little stronger. And we did good. We did a good job, but this is probably 2% of the work that will be done on this patch of ground between now and the spring. I've got trillions of farmhands that you've never met.
Yep.
They're under the ground. They're going to eat this hay. They're going to turn it into good food for the grass. And so by honoring the soil and what the grass needs and what the trees need and what the sheep need, this little bit of work we did here today is going to multiply 10x, 50x, who knows how many years this farm will be in our family. I don't know. I don't know which of my progeny will benefit from this.
Yep.
And I don't really care because they're still mine. They're still part of me. Yep. Even if somebody buys this farm, it's still going to feed humans, which ultimately isn't that part of my family?
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. And so regardless, we got healthier, we made the land healthier, we made the world a better place, and it didn't cost us a penny.
Yeah.
We're actually getting paid multiple times down the road for doing this. In so many ways, you literally can't enumerate them all. Innumerable ways we're getting benefit from this, but yet it just sounds like hard work. Shut up, Dad. Yep. Shut up. Yep. Come on. It's time to stand up and wake up and grow up and realize that if you work hard and smart, it multiplies. Everything can multiply itself if you're doing it right. But if you're doing it wrong, yeah, you're just working hard. You're being a dummy. Don't do that. Learn, think, grow, expand. And eventually, every lick you hit is going to multiply at least 10x, if not more, into the future. I think that's how we're supposed to be doing it. I think that's how our ancestors did it. And I think that's how all of us will once again do it in the near future. So this area is already finished. You can see the brush piles behind me. This was all just dense hardwood jungle. And so I cut out all the junk trees, junk meaning that they're not going to serve a useful purpose in the future on the farm. I've cut out easily 1,000 pine trees that were just everywhere. They acidify the soil, there's too much shade, and they drop their pine needles and they just blanket and nothing can grow. And so I've cut them all down. I cut them into pieces just small enough that I can move them physically, so that brush pile was created by me. I could absolutely do this with a tractor, but I'd be burning fossil fuels and sitting on my butt. And also I'm not walking the land. I'm not learning the lay of the land. And so it's a ton of work to do it this way. As much as possible, I'm going to do this physically so that I'm walking the land, learning the land, learning all the different things that grow. And then a lot of people would burn that. And there is some short-term benefit because of the ash. It actually fertilizes to a certain degree. But by letting it sit there and rot, that's a long-term investment, even though it's a lot of work to create it, because trillions of bacteria, fungus, and then hundreds of small animals, birds, chipmunks, rabbits, squirrels, quail are going to use that to hide from predators. And used to, when I was a kid, if you went walking in these woods, every 500 yards you would scare up a covey of quail. But now everything's monocropped, and they got nowhere to hide.
Right.
And so if they have a nest in the middle of a soybean field, they're coyote food. They're dead. They're not going to live, and so you almost never jump up quail anymore. And one of my many goals here is to make it that way again.
Yes.
So that you jump up a rabbit, because she was able to have her litter in there, and the coyote couldn't get to her, so her babies lived. Right? The chipmunks. There used to be pheasant here a long time ago. There's nowhere for them to hide because they're not the best at getting away from predators. And so my goal is to make this a habitat where all of the creatures that used to live here naturally can come back, but in the process I can also be raising healthy food here as well, right? And then also providing my family and our friends with a bucolic, verdant savanna, because we evolved on the savanna. That's why when you see blue sky and a plain of grass and a few trees, that's why it gives you so much peace. And so I'm trying to recreate that here while also feeding all of the creatures that are going to turn this into rich pasture. And there are certain trees here that feed animals and encourage that, and then some trees are just scrub. They don't really serve a purpose that's going to help me. As they grow, that's an investment. I could have them for hardwood. But every year the oaks are going to drop a ton of acorns that the sheep love, that pigs will eat, that wildlife will eat, right? The wild cherry tree the same way, the persimmon the same way. The maple, we can always tap that for syrup if we want to. Just no matter how you go, there's a solution. And what I'm trying to do is just have multiple layers of potential solutions to future potential problems.
Yes.
While also growing healthy food. Does that make sense?
I love it. I love the awareness around, just even around the awareness of things that
Lily.
can go wrong in the future.
Exactly. I think before the COVID crisis, everybody was kind of living in a bubble.
Yes.
Like, oh, nothing, you know, the government's got it. The trucks are always going to run.
Yep.
And I think it was a very healthy wake-up call when the trucks stopped running.
Yes.
And when you stop being able to just get whatever you want within 24 hours, I think a lot of people went, wait a minute. If this can happen, what else could happen that the trucks would stop running? There is no Uber Eats. There is no DoorDash. That could all go away. I hope it never does. Great. I love modern society. But at the same time, if it ever does, we're going to be okay.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people are starting to ask questions like that. Like, does the government, do they really got it? Really? For all eventualities, do they got it? Because I think more and more people are realizing, yeah, if everything goes fairly smoothly, maybe they got it.
Right.
But if there's a hiccup, they ain't got it.
Oh, no.
They ain't got it. And people also forget that government officials, police officers, they're people with families. Human nature ultimately goes back to the bedrock evolutionary principles. You're going to feed your kids regardless. You're going to do that. Ultimately, whatever it takes, you're going to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't think people think that far down the road. They just think that Uber Eats is always going to deliver, and you don't ever have to worry about that. That's foolish. That's conspiratorial to think about. And I hope they're right. I hope it never happens.
Right.
But if it does, I'm going to be one fit father and one fit provider because I've done all this work by hand. So my body's in good shape, my brain's in good shape, and I've also thought about all the eventualities, all the way to the end of the road. How bad could this get? How much do I need to prepare? And I think a lot of people, they either go overboard with the prep, like I'm prepping for doomsday zombies.
Right.
No, that's not going to happen, definitely, right? And so what are you getting prepared for? You need to have multiple layers. And so the way I'm doing all this is, like my good friend Jack Spirko says, whether times get bad or whether they don't. Either way, this is going to be a net benefit for me and my family.
Yep.
So if things keep going like they are, okay, we'll just have a beautiful farm. We can come and ride the four-wheeler on and look at and enjoy. But if things go to shit, we're not going to starve.
Yep.